Hi, and welcome to BremSter Puzzles, a channel where I try and showcase the fun that can be had in the world of variant Sudoku. And today I'm doing that with a puzzle called It's What You Do in the Dark That Puts You in the Light by SennyK. This is a puzzle that was recommended to me. I've not seen a puzzle by SennyK before, and this is definitely a puzzle where everything has been thrown at the wall. There are a lot of constraints in this puzzle, and if you're not familiar with all of them, and there's a couple I'm not that familiar with, this one could be quite tricky. But if you're familiar with all the constraints, then hopefully you'll be okay, because there's a lot going on. There's also another thing with this puzzle, which is the puzzle has a setting option at the end of the URL of the puzzle, which is to not show the grid. There's a couple of ways of hiding the grid outside of the elements on the grid, and the way this has been chosen is to use the built-in function in Sudoku Pad to hide that. That will mean that this will not always work on all devices. This grid may not work properly on all phones, or at least on all browsers on all phones, and I'm pretty, yeah, you'll just have to see how it goes. I know a lot of constructors have started designing their grids to have the different elements and just to have the stuff outside the grid hidden, rather than using the no grid setting in order to make it more compatible. But this is the easier way of doing it, and it actually even looks cleaner when you do it this way. So I understand why you would choose to do it this way. It also probably works better with the fog. I don't think I've seen a fog work this way. So yeah, I kind of get it. But there's a lot of constraints in this one. So buckle up, the rules is going to take a bit of time. Of course, there'll be a link below to where you can try this puzzle for yourself. And this one has also been posted, has come from Logic Masters Germany. So there'll be a link to Logic Masters Germany down there as well. Let's get into the rules. It's going to take some time. So we've got normal Sudoku rules apply. So in every box, in every row, and in every column, the digits 1 to 9 must be placed without repetition. We have dynamic fog. So the grid is partially surrounded in darkness. Entering correct digits may lighten the darkness somewhere in the grid. No guessing is required. It's weird that you have to say that, because it's true for every puzzle, but we only say it for fog. But the reason we say it for fog is because the grid will give positive feedback. We don't know where, but for example, if we were to put a correct digit here, that may reveal the cells up here. It may remove the fog from up here, but you could potentially just put all the digits in and see whether something is revealed. So you could put in 1, nothing happens, 2, nothing happens, and go through until all of the digits have entered and try and reveal something. But of course, with a dynamic fog puzzle, you don't know whether it's going to do that or not. So you'd have to guess which cell and which location to try and get something. But people tend to say that, I suppose, because cheating is prevalent in Sudoku. I don't know. Anyway, arrow. Digits along an arrow, which an arrow is like this, sum to the number in the attached 2-cell pill read from left to right. So I don't know if there's going to be another arrow. There's a lot of rules in this, so it's possible there's only one instance of each. But you can see here there is this 2-cell pill here. This isn't just circle. So these 2 cells, this will be the tens digit, this will be the units digit, and those digits will be the sum of whatever that arrow, the digits on that arrow is. So if these summed to, I don't know, let's say 25, because it's not possible, this would have to read 25. Kropki dots. Digits in cells joined by a black dot are in 1 to 2 ratio, so it's actually ratio dots, i.e. one digit will be double the other. Not all dots are given. There's nothing mentioned here about consecutive, but whatever. So yeah, these 2 digits, one is double the other. Killer or cages. Digits in a cage may not repeat and sum to the total given. So it doesn't mention that the total given is in the top left corner. So it is possible in this puzzle that the total is not in the top left corner of the cage. German whisper. Numbering digits along a green line have a difference of at least 5. So if there was a green line connecting these 2 cells, those 2 digits would have to have a difference of at least 5. Numbered room. A clue outside the grid indicates the digit which has to be placed in the nth cell in the corresponding direction, where n is the digit placed in the first cell in that direction. So let's say this cell here was a 4. That would mean if this digit here was a 5, we would have one that in the 5th cell in that direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would have to be a 4. We're counting from the clue. So that's the way numbered rooms work. If this was a 4 and this is a 5, we have to put a 4 in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th cell. If this was a 6, instead of a 5, this wouldn't be the 4, this would be the 4. And that's the way that works. I'm having to use small digits because for the examples, because this is a fog puzzle, I'm putting in the correct digit will possibly break something. X. Digits in cell joined by an X sum to 10. So if there was an X between those two cells would have to sum to 10. Renban. Digits along a purple line form a set of consecutive digits in any order. Now, I'm going to assume non-repeating. It doesn't say, because in certain mathematical precepts, consecutive doesn't mean non-repeating. But for example, if there was a purple line that did, let's say that, those would be 5 digits that if you took the digits off the line and sorted them, they would need to be a run of digits. So they could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They couldn't be 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, if you took them off and sorted them, would not be a run of consecutive digits. Sorry about the long rules, but there's a lot of them. And then equal sum line. Box borders divide a blue line into segments which have the same sum. So you may have seen this called a region sum line. I just tend to call them sum lines. If there was a blue line that did say that, then we would be saying that the sum of those two digits is the same as the sum of those two digits. And this is why the whole region sum line, this is actually the original name of that constraint, equal sum line. Region sum line came in place for a different reason, which is when a line did that, then those 3 cells would have the same sum as that. That is a region sum line by the original definition, but words change what they mean. Anyway, they're the rules of the puzzle. I'm going to restart the puzzle to restart my timer. Let's give this a shot. So what can this be? I get the feeling this has to be a 2, but I could be wrong about that. Because if this was 3, 6, yeah. Okay, so what can this be? 1, 2, 3. I can't make this a 4, because if this was a 42, then okay, let's talk about the concept of what do all of those cells sum to. These digits is a single box of the Sudoku and contains all of the digits 1 through 9. If you add all of the digits 1 through 9, you get to 45. So those sum to 45. So the maximum those could sum to, being 5 different digits, is 9, 8, 7, 6, and 5, which is 35. Maximum they could sum to. If this was a 3, this would have to be a 6. And these can't sum to 36. So this can't be a 3. It's a 1 or a 2. If this is a 1, this is a 2. And that's broken, because if this is a 1, the only thing that could be, this couldn't be a half, so it would be 12, and those would need to sum to 12. But the minimum, if this is 1, 2, these could be, would be 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And it doesn't take long to notice that 7 and 3 is already 10, and you've got to add 4, 5, 6, it becomes 25. So this has to be a 2. Now, what is this? This is now either 1 or 4. So this is 21 or 24. Now, if this is 24, we're broken, because this would be 24 and, sorry, no, we're not broken. 2 and 4 would be 6. 6 plus 24 would be, 6 plus 24 would be 30, and those would sum to 15. If these were 21, this is where we might be broken. If this was 21, then these would be 3 plus 21. Yeah, that's broken. 3 here with 2 and 1 plus 21 is 24, and those would need to sum to the remaining 21 to get to 45. That has to be the 4. Right. But we do know now that we've got 6 plus 24, which is 30. Those have to sum to 15. So they're from 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, we've got a whisper 5 line here, which is moving into that cell, that cell, that cell, that cell, and that cell. So, and that cell. So it's shaped at least like that. Now, what do we know about whisper 5 lines? Now, the first thing we can say is you cannot put a 5 on a whisper 5 line or a German whisper line, because you can't put anything next to it. In order to have a 5 difference, or at least 5 difference, you have to add or subtract 5 or more. Now, if you add 5 or more to 5, you're at 10 or higher. If you subtract, you're at 0 or lower. None of that is possible in Sudoku digits. So you can never put a 5 on the line. So 5 in this box is in one of those two. But that means that every digit on the line either has to be above 5 or below 5. You can't put two digits above 5 next to each other because the maximum difference is 3. You can't put two digits below 5 next to each other. The maximum difference is 3. So anytime you've got a digit above 5, what's next to it is below 5 and vice versa. So you're always alternating as you go along the line. So if this was above, this would be below and blah, blah, blah. So as you're alternating along the line, every second digit is from the same thing. So these are, well, let's not use blue because blue is my normal low color. This is one polarity. We call the high-low in this case a form of polarity. If this is high polarity, we've got low, high, low, high, low, high, or the other way around. So the next question we want to ask is, right, these have to be from 4, 5, 6 because we know these are all the same polarity. In here, if this was low, could we put a 4 in any of those? And no, because you can't subtract from 4. You have to add to get to the high polarity. And if you add to 4, you get to 9, which means you've only got one partner for 4, which means that but this cell has two partners, this cell has two partners, and this cell has two partners. So this could not contain the 4. So if this was low, the 4 would have to go here. The same is true with high and 6. 6, if you subtract 5 from 6, you get to 1, and therefore it's only got one partner. So if this was high, you couldn't put 6 in any of those. These would be 7, 8, 9, and this therefore means these have to be the 4, 5, 6. And the 4 and the 6, whichever way it goes, has to be in one of those. But that might not be where I'm supposed to look at. This is either 1, 2, 3 or 7, 8, 9. And I could possibly do more with that, but I'm not sure. This 31 cage, those digits there have to sum to 45 minus 31, which means they're summing to 14. Well, that's given now, isn't it? Because these have to sum to 15 and a 6, 7, 8, 9. If these are 14, they could be 9, 5. 9, 5 could work, but they can't be 8, 6. Because if these are 8, 6, which is the other way of getting to 14, that would leave this as 7, 9, which doesn't sum to 15. So these have to be 5, 9, which means I can't put a 9 in here, which means I can't make these a 6. This is 5, 9. And the 5 looking down means this is the 9 and this is the 5. This is a 4 in a numbered rooms clue. So if this was a 1, right, this has to be high now. If this was a 1, a 2, or a 3, well, okay, this can't be a 1. If this was a 1, okay, yeah, this can never be a 1 now. If this was a 1, I would be saying it would be saying I'd be putting a 4 here, but I just put a 1 here, so I've got a double up contradiction. If this was a 2, I'd be putting a 4 here, which isn't possible because both of those would be a 9. If this is a 3, I'd be putting the 4 here, which would make both of those 9. If this was a 4, then I'd be putting 4 here, which is 2 4s in the row. So these are now 7, 8, 9, because I've already described why they can't be 6. I'm actually going to get rid of this extra dark green because I think it's clear what's going on with that line. And these are the 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is now a 5, 6 pair. And this has to be, the 4 is in 7, 8, 9. It's in one of those. Now, this can't be the 9 because this 4 prevents that being a 4. So there's no 9 there. Now, if this can't be the 9, I can't put the 4 in either of those. And I can't put the 4 there. So I could, first of all, I could have taken the 4 out of those because if 4 here would have required 9 to be in both of those, 4 here would have required 9 to be in both of those. I can't put a 4 here now, because that would make this a 9, which would make this a 4, which it can't be. That's very clever. So this is the 4, and this is the 9. If that's a 4, that's a 6. There's no 9 here. I think I need to do more here. If this is a 7, that's a 1, 2, 8, 3. If that's a 7, that's a 1, 2, 8, 3. I'm not seeing a problem there. 7 or 8, 7 or 8. This X was the only thing revealed. One of these has to be a 7. One of those two has to be a 7. So that can't be a 3, or both of those would have to be an 8. So 3 is in one of those two. Why can't that be 4, 6? If that's 7, 1, 2, that's 3, that's 8. If that's 7, 1, 2, 8, 3. I don't see why any of those are a problem. It's just whichever one of these is an 8 forces the 3. 4 is down here, because that 4 is eliminating those, that 4 is eliminating those. That puts 4 in one of those, but I don't see how that's doing anything. Oh, no, this has to be 4, 6, because any X clue, it was more simple than that. Any X clue needs 1 digit below 5 and 1 digit above 5, because I can't use a 5 on an X because its partner would have to be a 5, and that would be 2 5s in the row. If I use and that's going to resolve everything. If I use 2 digits above 5, the minimum is 6, 7, which is 13. If I use 2 digits below 5, the maximum is 3, 4, and that only gets to 7. This has to be 1 digit below, 1 digit above. But the only digit above 5 I've got available is 6. So where do I put... so I can't... the digit... This has to be 4, 6, and I can't put a 4 there because that would make that 6. This is the 4, this is the 6. But the important thing is that puts the 4 in the 7th spot. So this is 7, 8. This isn't the 3 because you can't put that next to it, and that does become the 3, and that's going to clear the fog. Very clever. That really nice. It was like, how do this progress? Very beautifully is how this progresses. Now, this is an X on a German whisper. This is a Renban. Now, that looks like a 6-cell Renban. Now, we've seen before where setters have done tricks where it's like the Renban goes partway into this cell and then stops and then partway into this cell. I've got to hope that that's not what's happening here. Now, this is either 1, 9, which it can't be. So I'm going to work with the assumption, as I said, we've seen before, unless it's proven wrong, that this line is doing this. So until that's proven wrong, that's the assumption I'm making. So now we look at this X. So can this be 1, 9? I'm going to say no, because if this is 1 and 9, this line, which seems to be doing this, the thing is, I can't prove it's doing that. Because this, I mean, it can't get to 9 digits long, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 possible digits it can reach. So this can't be 9 digits long. But if this is 1, 9, it can't be 2, 8 or 4, 6, which are the other ways of doing it. But if this is 1, 9, then it would need to contain all of the digits from 1 to 9 to be a consecutive set. And I can't repeat digits anyway because I can't leave this box. So it doesn't need to say non-repeating in this case. So if this is 1, 9, I can't get 9 digits onto wherever this purple line could reach, even if it was to do something like that. It just doesn't work. So I can never get it there. And now the only way it could possibly be 1, 9 is if this line came partway into this box, stopped, and then this line only came partway into this box. So this was one line. So this could be 1, 2, this could be 9, 8, and this could be like 3, 4, 5, 6. Now except it can't be because of the 7, 8 here. So this, I could never put 9 on here on a line that stops because of the 7, 8. So that doesn't work. This could never be 1, 9 on a line that stops because of this 7, 8 pair. So that's been disproven. So I can never make this 1, 9. This has to be 3, 7. Now, that does put 7 in one of those two cells. Now, the question I've got now is, this seems to make it be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, So I've got to put 4, that seems to put 5 down here, but what can I prove that this doesn't have a line that stops? Because many of you, I may remember commenting on a puzzle where that did happen in the past. Can I prove that that is not what's happening here? I don't know. Because 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, 3, oh, this is a 3, 4 pair. Because the 3 can't be in those and the 3 can't be in those. So this is a 3, 4 pair because I can't put 3 or 4 in those or 3 or 4 in those, which means I can't put 7 in those and I can't put 7 here because of that 7 and I can't put 7 here. This is now part of a 3, 4 pair. That's the 7. Okay. Now, I can't disprove anything from those cells though. So what can I do because if this line was to go out here and do something like that, this could get as high as I wanted it to. But I could disprove 1, 9. I think that's all this has been able to do for me so far. Okay, so let's look at this. We know if this is low, it's 1, 2, and this would have to be 8 or 9, and this would have to be 6 or 8. I don't see a problem with that. This is high. It could be, yeah, it could be 6. Hang on. If this is high, this would have to be 8. So it's either 1, 2, or 8. Because it can't be a 7, 9. It couldn't be a 6 because it would make that 4, and 6 and 4 are too close. So if this is low, it's 1, 2 with 8, 9, or it's 8 with 2. If this is an 8, this is 1 or 2 because it has to be 1, 2, or 3, and it can't be 3. And if it's 1, 2, it's 6 or 8. They're the only possibilities on that line, and I don't like it. 3 is now in one of those two because of this. This is 1. Oh, no. I know what this digit is. Where's the 2? That is the 2, which means there's no 2 here. If that's not a 2, that's not an 8. But 1 with 6 or 8, 8 or... Yeah, that still seems to work. But this is a triple now. Oh, that's not the 3. That's the 3. This is a triple. 1, 6, 8. So that's a 1, 6, 8 triple. Holy cow. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a 5, which means this doesn't go down any further. This is a pair. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 5, 9. There must be a 5 on this Renban though to connect the 3 and the 7. Because if this was the 5, how would I connect the 3 and the 7 on this line? That's the 9. That's the 5. This has done nothing yet. These are 1, 6, 9, which means these digits to complete the row are 2, 5, 8. Which means the 5 must be down here now. Because if these were 2 and... Oh, no, I could still run the line out here to connect it. Like, this line could theoretically take all of those digits and be 1 through 8, and that's not a problem. Okay. The 5, 6 is looking down, taking the 6 out of there. The 1, 2 is looking down, taking the 1 out of there. Can I do anything with those? 6, 1, 9. Ah, that can't be the 9 anymore. That's the 2, which means this is the 8, which means this can't be 6 or 8. That's the 1. And this hasn't revealed anything. Is this correct? Yes. Sorry, I put a lot of stuff in without it being in any way confirmed. And I don't mind using the checker to confirm. This is a 6, and if you're doing the same, that's perfectly fine by me. This is the 8, this is the 1, because we're not getting any confirmation on any of this. It's normal with a dynamic fog puzzle, by the way, for when you put in correct digits, for it to reveal the cells that are correct. I actually set a dynamic fog puzzle where that didn't happen, and I'm not sure if I actually released it or not, but in testing or in doing the puzzle, I actually decided I never wanted to do that again. It just felt like a bad solving experience. Okay, so where can I go now? The 2 comes out of here, which means the 2 must be on this line. But that doesn't force anything, because as I said, this line could still cover all of those cells and be 1 through 8. So that hasn't forced anything. We do know these digits are 1, 4, 6. There's no 6 there. So all we've got now is this 7 cage and Sudoku. There's a little bit. 2 is in one of those 2. No. Okay, this 7 cage. It can't be a 3-cell 7 cage, because if it was a 3-cell 7 cage, it would need to be those 3 cells, because it definitely moves from this cell, to use colouring, into this cell, because you can see that the edges of the cage don't block off. So it's not a single cell 7, and it moves down here. Now, if it was a 3-cell cage, it could possibly go there, actually. Now, if it was a 3-cell 7 cage, it could possibly go there. Now, you can never do more than 3 cells of a 7 cage. So it would either be here or here. Now, it couldn't be here, because the only way to do a 3-cell 7 cage is 1, 2, 4. This would need to be 1, 2, 4, and it can't be. So if it's a 3-cell 7 cage, it has to come here. And this cell can't be 1 or 2. So that would be a 4, that would be a 1, and that would be a 2. And I don't see why that's a problem. Oh, hang on. No line can either branch or share cells with other lines. Oh, maybe that's something. I may not have even read that rule out. No line can either branch or share cells with other lines. Okay, so if this does enter here and does here, so I'm going to assume that is even of the same type. So this line does move into here. So this line must do this and it can't branch. So this is a single line. Sorry, I forgot that rule. Treat it like an anti-king rule that is missed. No line can either branch or share cells with other lines. So this can't enter here and stop and then enter here and stop. It must take the full cell. So it enters this cell. It can't share a cell with another line. So this can't be 2 Renbans. This can't enter here and stop and enter here and stop. They'd be 2 Renbans sharing a cell. And it can't branch, so this line can't do that. So the setter has already taken that into consideration. This is the shape of that line. So it's got 3 and 7 on it. It's got 2 on it, and it can't be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It can't go as high as 8. There's no 8 here. This is 2, 5. That's the 8. The rule did count it. I was wrong. And it is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's no 1 on this line. This is the 4. This is the 6. This is the 1. But that actually hasn't given us anything. Makes one of these 2 a 6. Yeah, not getting the feedback at all. Where you say no guessing is required, not getting any feedback at all, I think makes this feel bad. I noticed that when I was testing the puzzle I made. It just feels ugh. Because right now, I'm not even sure where to look because I've had no feedback from the puzzle at all. Like, I mean, fortunately, I can go, okay, these digits are correct. So this row is quite constrained. I need 1, 2, 3, and 5. Now, this can't be 1 or 2, but the rest of them aren't constrained at all. So the rest of it is meh. Yeah, the dynamic fog without clearing is not... No, as I said, fortunately you can just check. But even if putting these digits in cleared their own cells, I think it would feel better. I can get rid of this colouring. This colouring is probably also distracting. It doesn't need to be there. Okay. So this cell, right, now I can look at this. This 7 cage. That's what this has done. Because this cell can't either be 1, 2, or 4. So the 7 cage can't come here because this would need to be a 3 to make it a 3-cell 7 cage. This would need to be 1, 2, 4, and that would need to be a 1, 2, or 4, and it can't be any of them. So it can't go to there. Can't go to here because it'd need to be 1, 2, 4, and it can't be. So it's a 2-cell 7 cage. So it could be 1, 6, it can't be 2, 5, it can't be 3, 4, and then I hit 4, 3, and I'm the same way. So this has to be 1, 6. So those digits there are 1, 6. Okay, that's nice because it makes that the 9, taking 9 out of those. Again, no feedback whatsoever. So this triple, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So those are 2, 7, and 8. The 1 makes this the 6 and this the 1. Okay, so now we've got a blue line we're looking at, which comes into this cell and into this cell and into this cell. So what can that be? Because this is the sum of at least those 3 digits. And I suspect it's the sum of only those 3 digits because this cell can't go anywhere else. And 3 digits, if I was to move that into a 4th cell, the only cell I could move it into that without it repeating in the box would be that one. So if I kept it in the same box, the minimum that 4 different cells could sum to would be 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4 sums to 10, and I can't put 10 there. If I moved it into that cell, the minimum these could be would be 1, 2, 3, and that would need to be a 4, and I'd still be at 1, 2, 3, 4, and that would need to be a 10. So that line is the extent of the line. But if this was a 7 or an 8, the minimum would be 7, 1, 2, which is 10, and that would need to be a 10 again. So this can't be a 7 or an 8. That is a 2. Which means there's no 2 up here. This is a 7, 8. That 2 means that this here isn't the 2. This is the 2. And the minimum here, well, without the 1, these are 3 and 4. And 2, 3, 4 sums to 9, and that line is complete. You really need to be familiar with all of the rules. The 4 makes this the 3 and this the 4. 8 is in one of those 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is in here somewhere. Okay, 7, 9 is in one of those 2, which puts 9 in one of those 2. One is in one of those 2. I'm really running out of feedback on this puzzle. Are we now just naked single hunting? Each of the bits of logic have been cool, but yeah, I really I mean, I know I've said it a lot, but I cannot express the inner feeling that I'm getting of the puzzle not clearing those digits that you've placed. Just feeling, it just feels ick. Four is in one of those two. I think I need to go back and see whether the puzzle, the dynamic fog puzzle I did, whether I did that, if I actually published it. And if I did, I need to pull it because this really feels bad. The puzzle is good, but that dynamic fog thing is very strange. And I don't see any constraints I haven't resolved. I do want to confirm. Yeah, this is still correct. My logic has been good. And the reason I want to do that is because with a normal non-fog Sudoku, you have something to look for. And with this, I'm not even, with the thing with fog puzzles is you kind of need that feedback of what you've put in is correct, even by it clearing its own cell or anything, so that you know that you get the thing of, if you've made a mistake because it hasn't revealed any new clues, you've got no idea whether you're just done. Like, if you've made a mistake and you're not getting the feedback from that, it's like you don't know whether you've got the, okay, I've got somewhere else to look. Like, you can normally in a normal Sudoku say, okay, I've got nothing else in the grid, so I know I've missed some Sudoku or something. With this, it's possible you could just have there is a wrong digit in the grid, so there's a clue that's not been revealed. But with the whole concept of not knowing whether, even with correct digits, whether something hasn't been revealed, that there's just this distinct and strong possibility that something is expected to be revealed that I haven't because I've made a typo. And that's just ugh. The other thing that would have been interesting for a puzzle like this, which I might want to explore, is marking some cells outside with boxes or anything that need to be numbered rooms, because I'm wondering whether you could actually explore that. It's like, what possible numbered room clue could this be? Like, this would need to be an 8, and putting an 8 into that cell there, because you know that this needs to be a numbered room clue, and now you've got this actually 4 indicating that needs to be an 8, revealing some clues would be interesting. But it's not saying that everything, a clue outside the grid indicates the digit has to be placed in the end cell. I mean, I could say that's an 8 because it has to be, but that, yeah. Similarly, this has to be a 3 or a 7. This one is a 2. Like, that has to be a 2, but that's not a forced thing. I'm not sure what's going on here. Very weird. This is a very strange feeling puzzle. This 9 is looking up saying that's not the 9. Not getting that feedback is just very weird. So 1, 2, 3 in here. I'm not sure. It's in one of those. So what's this? 1, 2, 3. Could be 4. No, it can't be 1, 2, 3, 4. Can't be 5, 6. This is a 7. It's a naked single 7. Couldn't be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, or 9. These are 3, 4, 6. That one can't be a 6. So that's a 3, 4 pair, and that becomes a 6. Which means this isn't the 6. This is the 6. That's revealed some stuff. But these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are 1 and 8. So there's a Renban here. So this can't be a 9 anymore, because this line is doing this. And if this is a 9, I'm in the wrong mode again. If this is a 9, this would have to be at least 9, 8, 7. Not necessarily. What would happen if this line did that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 8, 7. That would be 8. No, I'd have to put 7. These, yeah, it doesn't work. If this is a 9, still got to disprove this. If this is a 9 and you came down to this 8, 7, this cell here, or this cell here, where would it go in this box? So if this was a 9, in order to not... So, okay. What I was trying to disprove here is this line comes into here. This can't be 9 because then this line here would need to contain 8 on it somewhere, or and 7 on it somewhere. And the only way I could do that without breaking this cell, I couldn't do it without breaking this cell. Now, the only way you could potentially do that is to bring this down. Oh, maybe I could do that. I can't do that because if I do that, where does this cell go in this box? It'd have to go on the line. It doesn't work. But if I did this and not go into this cell, I'd have to go as low as 3. So I'd have to pick up at least those cells. But I could go all the way up here, and this could be 9 through 2, and this could be a 1. And I could go 9, 8, 7. Oh, no, it can't enter this cell. This is where you really want to clean it up. This can't enter this cell because there's blue in here. Right, so so this can't contain a 9. Because if it does, there is a 9, an 8, and a 7 somewhere in those, and that would break that cell. It's the blue line going in here. I don't like this not clearing. The puzzle is really good, but it not clearing the fog is really, really annoying. That's not the 9, that's the 9. But this still can't have an 8, because an 8 on here would need a 7 on the line. Because it's at least 3 cells long. I don't know that it goes up this high, but I know it's at least these 3 cells. So I can't go up 8, 9, 10. So I'd have to at least include a 7, and that would still break this cell. So that's not the 8, that's the 8. These are 5 and 7. So there must be a 6 on the line. But these are 5 and 7. So this is the 8 and this is the 7. And this triple is... Well, there must be a 6 on this line. So this is the 1 and this is the 6. And this triple, in order to connect the 5 and 7, there must be a 6. And this triple is 1, 2, 6, 9. Well, there's no 9 on this line. I've already proven that. So, and there's no here. And this can't be 2 because I need the 3 or the 4 to connect it. That is the 6. Which means this is the 5 and this is the 6. That's a 2, 9, and the 9 is making that the 2 and that the 9, and the line does end there. This triple is 1, 3, 5. The 3, 5 here means this is the 1. That's a 3, 5 pair, so that's a 1. Looking down, making that an 8 and that a 1. I'm almost tempted to not publish this puzzle because I don't want to give this horrible feeling that I'm getting to my viewers, but it's been recommended. So I don't know. The 1 looks across, making that the 2 and that the 1. So these are from 3, 4, 5, and 7. Again, I'm just going to confirm this is still correct. The logic has been really nice. It's just, it just feels ick. 2 is in one of those 2. 3 in this box. I don't know. 4 is in one of those, but I don't see it. Is it these? I've got to put a 3 in here, which seems to be wide open. I've got to put a 4 in here, which is in one of those, which is all fine. The 5 seems to be wide open. The 7 seems to be wide open. I mean, maybe it's just me, but this just... It's so actively distracting. Where's the 9 in this box? That 9 is saying not there, because it's also interrupting the scanning. 9 isn't there, and that's a 1. So that's the 9, that's the 4. And that makes this a 3. So where's the 3 in this column? So this can't be a 3, because it'd say the 3 has to be there. So 3 here would make that a 7. 3 here would make that a 4, which it can't be. 3 here would make this a 5. So this can't be a 2 is the important thing, because if that's a 2, that's a 3, and it's not. So that's the 2. So can't put 3 here, can't put 4 here. It's either 5 or 7. This is either 5 or 7. Putting a 3 here or here. Where's 8 in this row? Can't put 8 there, and I can't put 8 there because I can't make that a 3. So that's the 8. So that's the 7. This is 3, 5, or 7 for the row, which means 7 is in one of those two, but I know what this is. That is the 8 that's not been put in the box. And this now is an X clue, so it can't contain a 5. So this is 3, 7, 5. The 5 means that the 5th place is the 3, which makes that the 4, that the 3, which makes that the 4. This is a very clever puzzle. It is so clever, except for that negative reinforcement. The 5 looks down, making that the 2 and that the 5. It almost feels like this is a puzzle that at the end isn't going to reveal the fog, and you're going to end up with a lot of grey, just because. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are 5 and 7, and the 7 looks down, making this the 5, this the 7, this the 5. The 3 looks across, making this the 5 and this the 3. These are the final 2 digits, which are 4 and 7, and the 4 makes that the 7 and that the 4. You have unveiled the pattern hidden in the dark. Each careful move a steady spark. Through patience, focus, silent might, you turn the shadows into light. It's in the quiet, hidden fight that you are forged to shine so bright. It's what you do in the dark unseen that makes your brightest moments gleam. I hope you have enjoyed the puzzle, and if so, I would appreciate that you rate my puzzle and leave a comment on Logic Masters. I loved the logic in the puzzle, the negative reinforcement, and I get that the dark is kind of the theme, but that negative reinforcement just felt bad. I'm curious what would have happened if I'd solved these, because I did it with the 7 and the 4. What if I did the 4? No, it's literally, it clears on grid completion. Interesting. I don't like it. I do not like it. The puzzle itself and the logic in the puzzle was really, really beautiful. But the negative reinforcement, at least you could use the checking button to confirm, because without that, I would have abandoned this puzzle very early on. Lots of constraints, or lots of different constraints that meant that you kind of were needed to be familiar with them. This was sent to me, by the way, as a very easy puzzle, but there's lots of different constraints that you need to be familiar with. So you need to understand what those constraints are and the implications of them almost immediately. There's no tricky use of them. But then there's that discovering is like, do I have all the information? The no guessing is required part of the rules, and this is meaningless. The guessing wouldn't have helped. I love the logic in the puzzle. I thought it was beautiful fog logic, some of the best fog logic I've seen in a very long time. But that negative feeling of just like, if you make a single typo in this, the puzzle is going to be dead for you. You're going to have to use the checker and then roll back, check, roll back, check, roll back, check. Oh, I'm okay, roll forward, check until it says you're wrong, and then remove that digit and then investigate. At least I didn't actually make any errors that I'm aware of. The checker never came up and said there was a problem. And I possibly over-hypothesized because this line, revealing that this line went here, so I would have not been able to consider this, would have been a thing. But I needed to, remember that this line went into here because the fog never cleared that to remind me that. And of course, there was the no line can either branch or share cells, which would have revealed this to me clearer. So that would have been something that was in the rules, and I didn't click to that well. So that's like forgetting a global constraint. That happens. Very, very amazing fog logic though. SennyK, I like your work. I think that embracing the fog not clearing thing, not a fan. Thank you everyone for watching. I am going to publish this because the logic was really, really, really good. Thanks everyone. And as always, good luck with your solving.